All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the serious allegations swirling around the prop-tech investment platform, Smartowner. We're going to break down what investors are saying, how this whole situation mirrors some other massive financial cases, and most importantly, what the potential paths forward are for anyone who's been affected. So let's go.
You know, the best way to get to the heart of this is to start with the people involved. This quote you see, it's directly from a complaint written by an investor. It just perfectly captures that feeling of uncertainty. And you can feel the high stakes for the hundreds of people who put their trust and their hard-earned money into this platform.
Okay, so let's set the stage. To really get a handle on this, we're going to start by looking at the core conflict here. That huge, glaring gap between the shiny investment opportunity that was sold and the reality investors say they're living with right now.
And this slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have the promise. A booming platform, more than 100 crores in investments, and that really tempting lure of high returns, somewhere between 15 and 20%. But on the other side, well, that's the reality investors are describing. We're talking delayed payouts, being locked into investments indefinitely, and a whole lot of people feeling like they have no choice but to take legal action just to get some answers.
So, this massive disconnect between the promise and the reality has spun into this complex web of accusations. In this next part, we're going to unpack the specific allegations being thrown at the company, and these are coming straight out of the legal strategy documents from the investors themselves.
Now, before we get into that list, we need to get clear on a key term you're going to hear a lot: shell company. So, what is it? Well, think of it as a company that really only exists on paper. It's a crucial concept because it's at the center of one of the main allegations from investors who claim these were used to structure their investments and, well, to hide where the money was really going.
And here they are, the core allegations. Investors are claiming that Smartowner used these really complicated legal and financial tricks, like setting up a whole network of these shell companies, to make it nearly impossible to track the money. They're also saying the company is blocking them from getting any recourse by denying arbitration rights. And then there's this move that's raising huge red flags, filing for bankruptcy against a partner firm, a tactic some investors worry is just a way to avoid paying them back.
So here's the thing that's really got people worried. This isn't just about one company. Legal experts who are advising these investors have started pointing out that the patterns here, well, they feel troublingly familiar. In fact, they echo some of India's biggest corporate scandals.
And you can see that pattern crystal clear right here. The themes you see in the Smartowner complaints, we're talking potential fund diversion, the use of shell companies, the risk of insolvency. These are the exact same issues that were at the very heart of the massive IL&FS and DHFL scandals. It really suggests the problems might be bigger, maybe rooted in some systemic weaknesses within the whole alternative investment fund, or AIF, sector.
And just to give you a sense of the scale of those other cases, the DHFL investigation involved over 31,000 crore rupees, IL&FS a staggering 90,000 crore. So when you see allegations that fit this kind of pattern, you can understand why it sets off major alarm bells for both regulators and investors. Now, this didn't all just happen overnight. This timeline shows that while there were some grumblings going back years, things really hit a boiling point after 2020. You had the real estate slowdown, the pandemic, and suddenly the number and the intensity of complaints just surged. And that brings us to today, with reports that investors are now gearing up to file new criminal cases.
Okay, so we have laid out the problem in a lot of detail. But this isn't just about what went wrong. It's about what happens next. So let's shift gears and look at the potential paths forward and what affected investors can actually do to get some kind of recourse.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? When your investment is locked up and you're not getting any clear answers, it is so easy to feel powerless. But here's the thing, you're not. There are very specific legal and regulatory paths you can take.
So the recommended game plan is a pretty clear three-step process. Step 1, and listen, this is the most critical part. Investors need to act collectively, as a group. By pooling all your evidence together, the case just becomes so much stronger. Step 2 is to file a formal complaint with the Registrar of Companies, the ROC. That's the government body that oversees companies. If that doesn't work, Step 3 is to escalate. Go directly to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, or MCA, and ask for an investigation by the Serious Fraud Investigation Office.
And that's not the only way to go. This isn't about picking just one path. It's about applying pressure from multiple angles. Investors can also go to the National Company Law Tribunal, or NCLT. That's a special court just for corporate disputes. They can file complaints with SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, for rule violations, and even file police FIRs for fraud. Every single action,
creates another layer of scrutiny.
But it is so important to have realistic expectations here, because none of these things happen overnight. A response from the ROC might take a few months. A full-blown SFIO probe, that could take up to a year. And notice that theme popping up again in the key to success column: strong group evidence. Unity among investors, it is absolutely essential.
So after breaking all of this down, what are the big lessons here? What are the key takeaways for anyone who's invested in prop tech or is maybe thinking about getting into similar alternative investment platforms? Let's sum it up.
First things first, that promise of super high returns always comes with high risk. And sometimes that risk is buried deep inside complex legal structures that should be a major red flag for you. Second, it's pretty clear that there can be regulatory gaps in these newer investment spaces. And finally, maybe the most powerful lessons from this entire case are that acting together as a group is your strongest tool, and knowing the official channels like the RSC, MCA, and SEBI is your best line of defense.
And all of this brings us to one final big picture thought. You know, as technology keeps creating these new and exciting ways for us to invest, it also creates new challenges and new risks. And it leaves us with this really critical question to think about. As the world of investing changes, who is ultimately responsible for protecting the investor? Is it the regulators who need to play catch-up, the platforms that need to be way more transparent, or is it on us, the investors, to be more careful? The real answer is probably all three.